It is 272 AD, and before the first light touches the Syrian desert, you are already awake inside a city the world should not be able to believe exists. Beyond the palace walls, the wind moves over endless sand like a warning, cold for a moment before the coming heat turns the whole horizon merciless. Then, out of that emptiness, Palmyra rises. Columns, temples, markets, courtyards, gardens, towers of pale stone, all of it standing where only dust and thirst should rule. To travelers arriving from Rome, Persia, Arabia, and lands even farther east, this place feels less like a city than a miracle purchased from the desert itself. For generations, Palmyra has been the beating heart between empires, the place where silk, spices, glass, incense, and silver change hands under the same burning sun. But today, this oasis is more than rich. Today, it is dangerous. Today, it stands at the center of a crisis that could reshape the ancient world. Because Palmyra no longer kneels politely beneath Roman power, paying for protection and surviving by obedience. It has become something far more ambitious, far more glorious, and far more dangerous to everyone around it. It has become a capital, a claim, a challenge thrown directly at the greatest empire on earth. And at the center of that challenge stands one woman. You are Septimia Zenobia, Queen of Palmyra, ruler of the East, and the living force behind an empire that should never have risen this fast. In one hand, you hold the wealth of caravans that cross continents. In the other, you hold the loyalty of soldiers willing to bleed for a city built on trade, ambition, and defiance. Before this day is over, both will be tested. Rome is coming, not with diplomats and delayed promises, but with iron discipline, a hardened emperor, and the cold certainty that rebellion must be crushed. When the sun reaches its height, armies will face each other in the open desert. When night falls, a history will know your name, but it still has not decided what it will call you. Before sunrise, the palace is silent enough to hear the scrape of bronze against stone. Your attendants move around you without chatter, trained to understand that this is not a morning for comfort or ceremony. This is a morning for preparation. A basin of cool water waits beside a polished mirror. You wash the dust from your face and study the reflection staring back at you, not as a woman searching for beauty, but as a ruler measuring resolve. You do not dress like a sheltered queen, protected by distant men and decorative titles. A linen tunic is fastened first, then a layer of deep imperial purple, the color of authority, ambition, and displayed legitimacy. Over that comes the armor, scaled bronze plates fitted across your torso until your body carries the weight of command. The metal is heavy, but heaviness has never frightened you. Across the room stands a carved Hellenistic bust of Alexander the Great, lit by the first pale hint of dawn entering through the palace windows. Each morning, your eyes return to that face. Not because you worship the dead, but because you understand what his name means: expansion, fusion, destiny imposed by will. You have long claimed descent from Cleopatra, and through that claim from the house that followed Alexander into the East. Rome may call such lineage vanity. You understand it as political language. Blood persuades, symbols persuade, history persuades. In an age collapsing under civil war and invasion, people do not follow armies. They follow stories powerful enough to justify a throne. That is why you wear the crown. That is why you wear the armor beneath it. By the time your hair is bound and the golden helmet is set in place, the sky over Palmyra has turned from black to cobalt. The city is waking. Merchants will soon crowd the streets. Scribes will unroll accounts. Officers will wait for orders. But before you face the city, you allow yourself one final breath in the stillness. Because once you step beyond these chambers, you must be more than intelligent. You must look inevitable. At first light, you descend from the palace into the living machinery that makes your kingdom possible. Palmyra does not wake slowly, it surges. Sandaled feet strike stone. Stable hands pull restless camels into line. Traders shout in Greek, Aramaic, and Latin. Bronze scales clink. Wheels groan, ledgers open. The city is already counting wealth before the sun has fully cleared the horizon. You step onto the great colonnade, the broad, paved artery that cuts through Palmyra like a statement of confidence. On either side rise towering limestone columns, each one catching the morning light in bands of gold and white. Halfway up, their shafts, carved brackets hold statues honoring merchants, caravan masters, and civic patrons, men whose fortunes helped transform a desert oasis into one of the richest cities in the ancient world. This is what Rome never fully understood. Palmyra is not powerful in spite of trade. It is powerful because of trade. From the eastern routes come loaded camels carrying frankincense from southern Arabia, silk thread and lacquerware from lands beyond Persia, spices sealed in precious containers, dyed fabrics, carved ivory, fine glass, and rare stones polished for elite buyers who will never see the deserts these goods have crossed. Every crate, every tethered animal, every stamped customs tablet becomes part of the same invisible engine. Tax the route. Protect the route. Control the route. Rule the future. Your officials bow as you inspect the incoming caravans. Scribes record weights and tariffs with practiced speed. Guards watch for theft. Brokers whisper over prices that could fund a battalion or purchase political loyalty in a distant province. And above all of it, you understand the deepest truth of power. Armies march on grain and pay, not slogans, not myth, not pride, revenue. By the time the last shadows of dawn have disappeared, Palmyra is no mere oasis. It is a financial weapon sharpened by distance, language, and trust. Then a courier arrives from the north, dust on his face and urgency in every step. He kneels. Rome is moving. And every column, caravan, and coin in your city matters. Inside the palace, the day shifts from movement to meaning. Wealth can build walls, buy horses, and fill granaries. But an empire survives only if it can explain itself. That is why your court is not merely royal. It is theatrical, intellectual, and deliberate. You do not rule Palmyra through force alone. You rule through language. In one chamber, disputes over caravans are settled in Aramaic, the practical tongue of administration and command. In another, philosophical arguments unfold in Greek, the language of prestige, education, and high culture across the Eastern Mediterranean. Latin remains the language of Rome, of treaties, decrees, and threats, a language you know well enough to answer without hesitation when the moment demands it. Every word spoken in your court has weight. Every language you command extends your reach. Among those waiting for you is Cassius Longinus, your most famous advisor, scholar, and political mind. Rome knows him as a philosopher. You know him as something more useful, a man who understands that power must sound convincing before it can become permanent. He helps shape not only arguments but destiny itself. You do not want Palmyra remembered as a fortunate trading city that grew arrogant in a moment of Roman weakness. You want it remembered as a rightful center of civilization, a state with its own culture, intellect, and claim to rule. That is the true danger you pose. Not that you seized a territory, but that you make independence look legitimate. This is why your image matters. The crown matters. The armor matters. The bloodline to Cleopatra matters. The learned court matters. Together they tell the world that you are not a provincial rebel improvising greatness. You are a sovereign building it. But ideas alone cannot hold a frontier when an emperor is already marching toward it. At the far end of the chamber, a map is being unrolled across a heavy wooden table. Officers are arriving. Longinus falls silent. Philosophy has carried you this far. Now, strategy must do the rest. The council chamber's cooler than the streets outside, but the air inside feels heavier. Maps lie pinned beneath carved weights. Wax tablets, sealed letters, and fresh reports cover the table in layers, as if paper itself could slow what is coming. General Zabda stands beside the northern routes, armored already, one hand resting on the hilt of his sword. Longinus remains near the far end of the table, calm in posture, severe in thought. Around them gather officers, scribes, and envoys, all waiting for you to turn rumor into policy. The message is clear. Emperor Aurelian is advancing with a battle-hardened Roman army, moving fast across Anatolia and toward the lands you have taken. He is not a distant bureaucrat wrapped in ceremony. He is a soldier emperor, sharpened by chaos, a man who has spent years pulling Rome back from collapse province by province, frontier by frontier. Longinus speaks first. His advice is measured, elegant, and unwelcome. Send letters, offer submission in form, if not in spirit. Keep Palmyra rich, semi-autonomous, and alive. Let Rome claim victory in language while you preserve power in practice. For a moment, no one answers. Your eyes move across the map. Egypt, Syria, the Levant, Anatolia. Territory seized not by accident but by ambition. To retreat now would not restore safety. It would destroy the very story that made your empire possible. A state that claims greatness cannot survive by asking permission to exist. You straighten and give the order everyone feared and expected. The cavalry will mobilize. Scouts will ride farther east. Supply trains will be redirected. The city will prepare for siege, and the army will meet Rome in the desert before Roman discipline can settle comfortably at your gates. No one mistakes the cost. This choice places Palmyra beyond negotiation. From this hour forward, every caravan tax, every temple offering, every oath of loyalty becomes fuel for war. Zabdas bows once. Longinus says nothing. Outside, somewhere below the palace, a bronze horn sounds across the city. Diplomacy has not failed. You have ended it with your own hand. By midday, the heat over Palmyra has turned brutal, pressing down on stone, skin, and steel with the force of a living thing. Even inside the city gates, the air trembles above the ground. Outside them, the desert waits wide and white beneath the sun, empty except for the army you're about to unleash into it. You ride out on a white Arabian stallion, its muscles tight beneath polished tack, its breath sharp with impatience. Behind you, the gates open wider, and the pride of your empire begins to emerge. The cataphracts. Not light cavalry, not raiders, not scattered tribal horsemen fighting by instinct and speed. These are engineered instruments of shock, discipline, and fear. Riders disappear beneath interlocking scales of iron and bronze. Their faces vanish behind metal masks. Even the horses are wrapped in articulated armor that hangs along their necks, flanks, and chests like a second skin forged for war. When they move together, the sound is unlike anything else in the ancient world. It is not the clatter of men riding. It is a deep metallic thunder, heavy, rhythmic, and relentless, as though the desert itself has learned to march. You look across the formation and understand what others see when they look at your army, not merely wealth, conversion. Frankincense has become armor. Silk taxes have become lances. Caravan tolls have become horseflesh, training, and obedience. Trade has hardened into steel. General Zabdas rides near the front. issuing terse commands as banners snap in the dry wind. Officers adjust spacing. Lancers test their grip. Water is rationed. Scouts return from the horizon and report dust in the distance. Rome is close. You guide your horse to a slight rise beyond the city, where the open plain stretches ahead in waves of pale sand and packed gravel. Far off beneath the bright sky, a dark line begins to form. Standards, infantry, cavalry, order. Aurelian has arrived. Silence spreads through your ranks. Then the signal comes. Before blood is spilled, the rulers will ride forward and meet on open sand. Across the neutral stretch of desert, you ride with only a small honor guard, the distance between the armies feeling larger than the land itself. Behind you waits the Eastern Empire you have built from speed, commerce, and audacity. Ahead of you stands the machine that has ruled the Mediterranean for centuries. Aurelian approaches without spectacle. His armor is practical, scarred and plain beside your imperial purple and gold. He sits his horse like a man shaped by campaigns, not ceremony. There is no wasted movement in him, no softness, no attempt to impress. He does not need display. Rome is his display. For a brief moment, the desert is silent except for leather, tack, and the restless breath of horses. Two rulers stop within speaking distance, separated by little more than heat and history. Aurelian speaks first, in direct, controlled Latin. His offer is simple: yield your titles, return Palmyra's wealth to the Roman treasury, submit, and he will spare your life and your city. Refuse, and what follows will be remembered only as punishment. You hold his gaze. When you answer, your Latin is as precise as his, but colder. You remind him that when Rome staggered under invasion and crisis, Palmyra held the eastern frontier together. While emperors rose and fell, your city protected trade, guarded roads, and kept the desert from swallowing Roman influence whole. You are not a rebel improvising a crown. You are a sovereign who took responsibility when Rome could not. The words hang between you, sharp as drawn steel. He studies you without blinking. You see it clearly then. He does not mistake you for a provincial queen dressed in borrowed glory. He knows exactly what you are. That is why he came himself. Around you, both armies wait for a gesture, a signal, a fracture in tone. None comes, only certainty. At last, Aurelian nods once, as if acknowledging not agreement, but worth. Then he turns his horse. You do the same. When you ride back toward your line, the desert feels different, smaller, tighter. Language has done all it can do here. The rest will be decided by dust, iron, and endurance. The horn sounds across the plain, low and immense, and the battle begins at once. Zabdas raises his arm. Your cataphracts lean forward. Then the eastern line surges into motion. Thousands of pounds of armored horse and rider gathering speed beneath a sky white with heat. At first, the charge looks unstoppable. Lances lower. Hooves hammer the hard ground. The desert shakes under the weight of metal and muscle. When your front line crashes into the Roman vanguard, shields splinter, men fall, and the first ranks buckle beneath the violence of impact. For one blazing moment, it seems that momentum alone might tear a hole straight through Rome. From a low rise behind the line, you watch every shift. Dust climbs into the air so thick it swallows color. Orders pass from rider to rider. Horns answer horns. You send cavalry wide along the flanks, pressing the classic Eastern advantage: speed, reach, and confusion. Roman infantry bends, reforms, and resists. Their discipline is terrifying, but so is the courage of the men fighting for you. Then Aurelian shows why he has survived every crisis that tried to break his empire. Instead of Feeding his legions blindly into your strongest assault, he yields ground with purpose. Light cavalry rushes in, strikes, withdraws, and tempts your heavier riders farther from the cooler ground near the city. The battle stretches. The sun burns. Armor that gave your soldiers supremacy now drains the horses beneath them. Breath grows harsher. The great charge becomes a test of endurance. You ride behind the rear formations, shouting commands in Aramaic, refusing distance, refusing safety. Men who can barely hear over bronze and screaming still recognize your voice. They straighten, they hold. By late afternoon, the field is no longer a scene of triumph, but of will. Neither side has broken. Both now understand the price of finishing this. Before dusk can grant relief, the horns fall silent, the lines draw back, and the citizens of Palmyra wait behind their walls, searching the western horizon for the shape of tomorrow's siege itself. At sunset, you ride back through the great gates of Palmyra with dust dried across your armor and the smell of battle still clinging to the air. Citizens line the streets holding torches, searching your face for fear. You give them none. Even now, when the desert has taken its measure of men and horses, you move with the same controlled certainty you wore at dawn. From the avenue you turn not toward feast, rest, or celebration, but toward the Temple of Bel, the holiest heart of the city. Its vast courtyard rises behind high walls, and its architecture speaks the language of Palmyra better than any decree. Corinthian columns stand beside Eastern forms. Classical proportion meets Mesopotamian memory. Greek, Aramean, Arab, and Roman worlds all seem to breathe under the same stone roof. Inside, the sanctuary glows with oil light and drifting smoke. Priests place fragrant myrrh, bowls of oil, and heavy sheaves of wheat before the altar. Their chants remain low, steady, almost swallowed by the evening hush. Here, at last, you remove your helmet. The weight leaves your brow, but not your thoughts. Alone before the shrine, you do not ask the gods for easy victory. You ask for clarity, for patience, for the strength to hold a city together when an empire is trying to pull it apart. You ask for the wisdom to outthink Rome, the endurance to survive what comes next, and the mercy that if Palmyra cannot be spared forever, it might at least be remembered forever. When you step back into the night, the sky above the city is violet and black. Beyond the walls, distant Roman campfires burn across the desert like a second constellation. Prayer has given you stillness, but not comfort. Tomorrow is already waiting in those lights, and the city knows it. Somewhere outside the walls, engineers measure distances, officers sharpen plans, and sentries listen for movement in the dark. Palmyra is no longer standing between peace and war. It is standing between memory and extinction. And dawn will force you to choose what can still be saved. By the final hour of night, you are alone in your private study, where lamplight trembles across scrolls, maps, and the carved face of Alexander watching from the corner of the room. Beyond the arched window, the Roman campfires burn across the dark desert like fallen stars. They are beautiful from a distance and merciless in meaning. You know what waits beyond tomorrow. Rome has deeper reserves, more men, more time, more ways to turn a siege into inevitability. Palmyra is brilliant, but brilliance is not the same thing as permanence. Stone can crack, gates can burn, armies can fail, even miracles can be buried. Yet, fear does not own this room, not tonight. What fills it instead is a colder, heavier understanding. You have already done what most rulers never dare. You took a merchant city in the desert and forced the world to treat it as an empire. You seized the hour history thought belonged to others. You made Rome answer you by name. Your fingers rest on the marble bust, tracing the edge of a conqueror's cheek. Alexander crossed continents. Cleopatra defied empires. You did not inherit their age, but you forced your way into their company through will alone. That is the secret history remembers longest. Not safety, not obedience, not even victory. Audacity. One day, the walls of Palmyra may fall, the colonnades may break. Sand may creep over the stones and swallow the roads where caravans once glittered in the sun. But there are defeats that still create immortality. Cities are remembered for wealth. Empires are remembered for conquest. But the rarest rulers are remembered for something greater. The moment they looked at the largest power on earth and refused to kneel. Outside, the campfires of Rome continue to burn. Inside, your name has already passed beyond the walls, beyond the desert, beyond the empire coming to break you. Because some rulers inherit history, the rarest ones force history to remember them forever. Even if the city is lost, the queen who challenged the world will outlive it.